Hello Wastelanders, Soloclone, a savvy survivalist here coming to you from the relative safety of the Navasgane National Forest to talk a little bit today about the pros and cons of the 9 biomes of 7 days to die. They are as follows: forest, burned out, desert, bombed out, water, alpine forest, savanna, snow, and radiation. So let's just get into it, shall we? First up's the forest. Starting off with plenty of fibers for harvesting and trees as well as seeds for tree farms, a high concentration of nodes for stone and iron, clay, cotton, goldenrod, and chrysanthemum, with above ground patches of coal and nitrate being plentiful. Great to start out in for obvious reasons for building. Only downsides are visibility to see roaming herds which sneak up on you, and the random bear spawner which will keep you on your toes. Not so much of a downside, but more of a difficulty. Spotting random rocks and birds' nests for feathers and eggs can be problematic. Trash piles and other lootable bags laying about are also difficult to see. For a starter base, use a simple entrance with iron reinforced panels to smooth edges to avoid zombie hang-ups and diggers. Line everything with wood and upgrade to raise your skills at night. Chest for storage. Make sure you have a fire pit above ground and not to burn yourself. Place your bed in alcove to avoid accidental pickups. Temporary bases also have a second exit in case of attack, and a mine entrance leads out of the heat map range does not pique the interest of passing zombies and animals. Simple and easy to have within 4 days of dedicated work. Biome 2, burned out. This is an inhospitable landscape with little to no vegetation alive, very stark in contrast to the forest. Temperatures at night drop quickly, coupled with an incessant rain bring on hypothermia. The sporadic structures that can be found are just skeletal remains that offer a high chance to loot cooking pots, brass, and other random items. Grass, stone nodes, trees, and tree seeds are half of what the forest offers. Random rocks are easily seen, and so are birds' nests, which are plentiful and easy to spot, usually in multiple sets, really close by. Visibility is good and burned out. It's great for hunting. Just remember to wear warm clothes. And also to avoid the large log ember piles on the ground, which can set your character on fire, but can also be harvested to provide coal. A plus is seeing a fire in the distance and getting free food out of the deal. Number 3, the desert. With rising temperatures that will cause you to overheat quickly, and seemingly the very grass will attack you, little to no water and no big game to hunt for, this biome can be quite a challenge for the new players. Another type of inhospitable landscape, but very easy to master if you know where to look and what to do. Remember that attacking grass? That's mini cactus, so be mindful where you step. To address the lack of water, start by harvesting yucca plants, cutting down larger cactus for fibers and yucca fruit also. Harvest a bunch of them. Go to recipes, have an empty jar, voila, yucca juice, which can also lower your temperature. Remember to remove all your clothing too to keep cool till you can make iron armor or find the appropriate gear later. If you do locate water and are still having temperature issues, jump right in. This will solve the problem of the overheat and get you going again. And it's also a good idea to build near a water source. That way you have easy access to it. No real trees to speak of or seeds to replant. Wood is gathered through driftwood. Plenty of fiber and cactuses in yucca too, with aloe for med supply building. Visibility is great with nodes and clay patches that are easy to find also, and with plenty of lootables laying about. What the desert does excel at is building and mining strengths. Gather sand, stone, and clay to make adobe. With 1,000 hit points, block starter, it's one of the best starter base materials. Just make an above ground fighting pen with a single entrance in, attach a tunnel to an away exit, add your storage area there, and you're in business in 4 to 5 days of easy work. Number 4, bombed out. Not as dangerous as burned out via the environment, but just as bleak. The landscape is desolate looking, but again plentiful if you know what to start with. Fibers way less here than the other biomes, and very little to no seeds given. Nests are semi-easy to spot, and so are lootables. With an addition of iron beams and concrete blocks together, it looks good, but stick with the stone nodes. Better bang for your buck. Water can be a problem here too, so if you find a source, stick with it. Most of the standing structures are bombed out shells of what once was, with lootable containers which have a varying degree of difference, but yield a higher chance of locating a mining helmet early on and raw meat, to name a few. The wrecked sections offer a great platform to build a treehouse-style starter base in, with a high hit point value on the lower half to keep you safe at night, or if you're just passing through. If you're building an above-ground base here, you'll have to travel for wood and seeds, as it's not very plentiful. There's also a higher percentage of car wrecks here to gather car parts from. It does drop in temperature at night, so dress appropriately. Either an above ground base or below will work either way here. For PvP, this is one of the better places to build a major base, mostly because the ground is easy to dig up, and most players avoid this area altogether. Number 5. Water. Very difficult to build in. Only one resource, drinking water, and even that's 50-50. But you won't have random herds passing through or bears spawning in, and it's a great place to build if you're making a loot base or mass storage base. Most players avoid swimming directly across lakes due to the fact it's a time factor. This is a biome best left to later after you've had some experience under your belt. Number 6. The Alpine Forest. Very similar to the regular forest, but with pine trees. The same things there apply here, but with two differences. The bear spawning here is less, but the stag spawning is more. Visibility is better here as well. An above or below ground starter base can be utilized here with little to no difficulty. Number 7. Savannah. With rolling low hilly grasslands with plenty of small cactus to injure you, plenty of nodes, also with next to no trees and only small ones at that, has large bare rock patches that make finding birds' nests easy enough. Overheating happens sometimes, but a great place to build a massive base just because of long sight lines. Game is scarce here, and water is problematic as well. What it does offer is plenty of fiber and random shoots of corn. So like the desert, there is a food source, two in fact, cactus and corn, and replantable one at that. With massive stone boulders, these make for a good location to start your base, but poor over time because the hit points are low. Number 8. Snow. It is the complete opposite of the desert. Hypothermia will set in even during the day, and some nights there is a heavy snow accumulation which will cover random rocks, bird nests, and lootables, making scavenging difficult. Game here is plentiful and visibility is high. Also, the enemies here are a bit tougher than the other biomes. Even if the snow settles in overnight, there are lootable stumps with a high chance at getting valuable loot, like hunting knives, night vision goggles, or food. Water can also be problematic, but with an old can, you can dig up snow and melt it over a campfire. For a starter biome, it's difficult to get a foothold in the first week, but long-term has its benefits. Being more difficult to survive in than most, water's everywhere and abundant, and there is a high loot value to be had all around. Good for just about any kind of beginner base as well, or long-term. Number 9. Radiation. This is not a biome to live in or near yet, but a border of the map's edge, signified in red, and an off-greenish tint to it, and will kill anything that walks into its space, even if you're wearing a full suit of radiation armor. Seen here in undulating green and white waves, that's the radiation border. I also have on a full set of radiation armor. You find right here showing a radiation aspect. Now, I'm about to show you what happens when you go in. You'll take initial damage, it'll give you a bit of a warning period, and if you watch the health, that's the border. It's game over. And that was the 9 Biomes of 7 Days. I hope this has been helpful in getting you going on your first week. Just remember, it only takes one mistake and you'll die out here. Always put down a bag and stash half your loot in a secondary weapon, and make sure if it's underground you got a torch. Just in case. Give us a like and subscribe if you found this helpful. Thanks again, because that'll do it for this episode. See you out there, Wastelander.